Hi everybody. It's been a while, hasn't it? 4 weeks of being sick and other stuff. But it's time again to stream. At least a short one. I gotta admit I'm still a little bit weakened from all the sickness and stuff. But yeah, I want to stream. I want to go back into things. Even though it's probably, closing into Christmas and not that many people wanting to join the stream, but I just gotta go back into things, right? The whole being sick stuff also reduced my productivity when it came to Ishanekon significantly. I mean, not just Ishanekon, right? If you're sick, you can't work and stuff. But yes, but some stuff did happen. Some of you might remember that I showcased, I think, 7 sub-archetypes on the last stream. And I told that I usually make 10 new sub-archetypes per update. But I got some new ideas for base building. And, Discord is still making noises. Can I mute you somehow? Whatever. Don't have that to do. I want to stream. Sorry for any Discord noises in the background. As I was saying, usually I only make 10 sub-archetypes per patch. One for every archetype. But then I make the base building rules. I got ideas for that. And then I thought, well, if I got base building rules, I need to build a sub-archetype for technology, right? And that means 10 new archetypes, sub-archetypes, because I refuse to have a different number of sub-archetypes for each archetype. That's something I really dislike in the Dragon game. And I plan to keep them all growing parallel to each other. Which has forced my creativity a bit to create some sub-archetypes that I would not have come up with otherwise. But now for the start of the stream, I want to showcase some of the new sub-archetypes that I did not showcase in the last sub-archetype. There should be, I think, roughly 8 sub-archetypes already finished, and which I would like to show you. All those sub-archetypes I post into the preview content of my Discord group. If you want to see them as they're coming out, feel free to take a look. But yeah, let's start. I think the last one I did last time was the Quantum Phaser reality sub-archetype. That's all about making 2 turns on the same turn and then just having one of them play out. Sorry for a yawn. Like I said, it's been a tough month. But hey, I can still laugh, right? So, don't forget to keep the chat in. Take a look at the chat if anybody's writing. If anybody's there who wants to talk, feel free to say hi, to ask questions, just joke around. I like to interact with people, So, let's get started. For the technology sub-archetype, I have the mechanic, which interacts greatly with the vehicle rules that were part of the last big patch. The mechanic is all about building and upgrading vehicles. They only need to have as many materials and time to craft and build vehicles, including fuel for vehicles, and they get a boost to using the engineer room as a vehicle module, and their healing towards vehicles is far more effective. Later on, synthesized fuel, they get the capability of passively generating fuel, so it's easier to fuel your vehicles. But if you have a vehicle that doesn't need fuel, which does exist, you can use that generated fuel as a crafting material to upgrade vehicles, so that's also nice. Later on, Garage Builder, which interacts with the building rules that I want to interact. One of those buildings is a garage, which helps vehicles at rest to gain additional temporary vitality and gives a bonus to upgrading and building vehicles. And also in garages you use are of one higher quality than usual. Then signature engine, you get to choose one great talent and one lesser talent, and each vehicle you upgrade and build automatically has that talent. And mechanical perfection allows you to upgrade the vehicle way past your normal limit. And whenever you upgrade it by one level, it's 3 instead, so you can really quickly and cheaply upgrade vehicles and make them far more powerful. So for the unarmored archetype, we have the bodybuilder, classic muscle type. The main idea behind the bodybuilder is a character that has a high armor value without needing to wear armor. Sorry for the yawning. Maybe I should have taken a nap before the stream. Like I said, my stamina has gone down a bit. If you more or less don't leave your apartment for a month, that drains you physically. Who would have known? Boy. But back to the bodybuilder. First, they get a bonus equal to the primary stat bonus if they're not wearing any sort of armor. So it works with clothes or not wearing anything. I thought about maybe weakening it a bit, but for now I'm going to leave it like that. This is defensively pretty powerful since it allows you to have a high armor and evasion at the same time. Flex and Post, the next one, is all about increasing your armor even further, but it decreases your evasion. So as an action, you can increase your armor by an amount equal to your tier, but that decreases your evasion by the same amount. For the next turn, you can stack this effect. So if you got the attention of your enemy, and you just want to tank the damage, you can just flex and pose 3 times, and this would give you at level 3 plus 6 armor, but of course minus 6 evasion. But at that point, your main strategy is to just take the hits, right? Then Inspiring Body is all about boosting your allies through the flexing and boosting, allowing to grant one ally an armor boost of the same height. And Intimidating Gains allows you to do the same but for enemies and reducing their armor instead. So the bodybuilder also goes a bit into the support and control role with these, because bodybuilding is usually mostly for show, right? It's less about true strength. So I thought that fit nicely. And then tier 5 feature, you can decide to let all attacks hit you, basically 0 dodging capabilities, but your armor increases by amount equal to your level. So that's at level 12 plus 12 armor, which is insanely high. Plus, you're immune to critical hits if you do that. So it's great to counter crit builds. And if you decide to do that, you need to be hit really, really hard, or the enemy needs a very effective anti-armor strategy to get through. So now for the war archetype, the Conqueror, which I think is thematically pretty cool. They're all about the longer the combat goes on, the stronger they get. They are fueled by combat. They don't get any bonuses on the first turn, but their bonuses start to stack up the longer the fight continues, up to 5 times. At the start, they get for each round that has passed, +1 to damage and attack rolls for weapon attacks and damage abilities, ramping out your offense. Then tier 2, Forged in War, gives you an armor and evasion boost, increasing your defense. Also can stack up to 5 times. Then adaptability combat tier 3, now you start to generate temporary vitality each turn. So that makes you even harder to kill. Conqueror's Weapon. Now you can make an additional weapon attack for each round that it has passed. So that can but only stack up to 3 times, because this is a really powerful bonus. But it allows you to hit a lot of times, making it really difficult. And finally, Battlefield Bane basically doubles all the bonuses you get from the first 2 tiers, making you for an absolute monster if a battle lasts more than 3 rounds. So afterwards, then I started designing the next 10 sub-archetypes, the batch for those. They are not all finished yet, and unlike the first batch, I did not do them in the order of archetypes. I just kind of started designing them as they came to mind. First one is for the mental archetype, the Wand Slinger. The mental archetype has 1 sub-archetype for every ability type, with one exception: maneuver abilities, which makes sense. Maneuver abilities are usually more of an offensive physical type, and mental archetype is mostly about using your brains and not your body. But I thought, how about trying to design a maneuver-focused caster that plays more like a caster and less like a classical weapon user. This sub-archetypes works really well with Path of Maneuver, but you can also use Path of Attack for it. First of all, now you can learn abilities from the War archetype, because the mental archetype does not have a lot of maneuver abilities that can learn, so this helps you keep up. But unlike most sub-archetypes that allow you to learn abilities from the War archetype, you do not get any type of defensive bonus. Most of them give you extra weapon proficiencies and boost to your vitality. The Wand Slinger does not. You're still a squishy caster. And the idea is mostly that you use the weapon categories that you can get easily as the mental archetype, which are simple, tech, unearthly, and mind. Tech, for example, can also be reflavored to magical weapons, right? The energy blaster can also be a wand, right? So the idea is you take more of those less physical weapons, but you can totally build this around the sword or something like that, right? It just takes a bit of more work and getting the proficiencies for that, but it works. Let me get a drink. Yeah. So, you get access to the War archetype abilities, and now you can choose 2 weapons each time you take a rest. These weapons become your wands. Again, they don't have to be wands. They take the form of sort of a spell focus for all your maneuvers. And now every maneuver that uses one of your wands to attack or boosts a weapon attack that you do with your wand gets upcasted by 2 for free. 2 might seem like a lot, but maneuver abilities usually don't give you that much extra damage and capabilities if you upcast them, since the calculations are all about making sure that a fully upcast maneuver ability doesn't do more damage than a fully upcast normal damage ability. So that's why the upcast capabilities are so much higher than with most abilities that'll give you a free upcast. Then afterwards you can charge your wand whenever you use a maneuver ability with it, and if you charge it enough, you can make 1 free fully upcast abilities. So you can change maneuver and then cast like an elemental explosion with it. But also focus on maneuver abilities. That's also possible. Focus wand allows you to increase the power of your wand, increasing the outpower and attack rolls. You know, the ability of charging your magic to increase that feeling of the slow but powerful caster. Then passive recharge, yes, allows you to gain 2 weapon charges each turn, and 1 charges. So you get your free ability quicker. And ultimate wand, which allows you to maximize all damage and healing done by maneuver ability if you use your charging spell focus to cast an ability, which gives you a nice combat flow, right? Casting a few abilities, dealing normal damage, which then ramps up to 1 decisive explosive spell or tech ability or whatever. I mean, a wand slinger doesn't have to be a wizard, right? Then my favorite one of the new ones, the Terraformer from the Demolition archetype. Terraformer is all about shaping the combat around them. They learn 2 of the manipulate abilities. You know, those abilities allow you to manipulate a specific type of thing, be it air, color, earth, fabric, fire, wood, water, and so on, which allow you to shape it, control it in some way or form, and massively increases the area that you can control with it. Usually, you only can control a medium amount of it, but this increases this to big, or even big plus, if you have the bigger demolition feature, which you automatically get as a demolition archetype. But I added that because the bigger demolition feature wouldn't really help you with this otherwise. But yeah, that means you can manipulate a 4x4x8 area. That's a big area. That's just creating a massive wall out of the ground where you cannot hide behind a mount. So this sub-archetypes really relies on you being creative. How do I use the environment? How can I use it to damage enemies or hinder them, giving us a defensive terrain advantage and so on. But if you know what you're doing, it can be really powerful. Furthermore, Empower Charge increases the damage you can do with it and allows you to give stuff that you manipulate the hardened or softened property, so you can increase your defenses or make something easier to break if you like to. Really yawning a bit more than I would hope to. Oh yeah, and I am feeling it. Yeah, I don't think I will be streaming much longer, but I guess even a short stream is better than no stream right after the huge break, just to get started a bit into the swing of things. But let's continue. Creating out of nothing is really cool. Tier 3. Now, the manipulate ability usually don't allow you to create the stuff. It just allows you to manipulate existing stuff. But with creation out of nothing, now you can create half of the area you can manipulate of that material. Just which alleviates one of the main disadvantages. If the thing that you want to control isn't there, then you can control it, right? Also, it's not funny if you combine it with something like manipulate food. Now you can make, without upcasting it, just a mountain of food. Food will never be a problem anymore. Then the next one, I think, is really cool. Also, terraforming. Now you learn either manipulate weather, manipulate landscape, control weather, control climate, or control landscape. And this increases the amount of area those abilities can manipulate and the time those changes last up to 10-fold. Which basically allows you to just almost permanently change the weather or climate massively. You are in a desert, turn it into a jungle. or a grass field or whatever, and those changes would last for weeks. And just recasting it over and over is easy once you're at that higher level. If you want to remodel a country, there's no rain, people are starving, boom. Now you change the weather, it's enough rain, everybody's happy, the drought has been solved. This can be surprisingly a powerful, also political tool. And yeah, I mentioned stuff how you can people, but you can also use them in devastating ways, right? You want to make a drought with this, which, man, you're a monster if you want to do that, but you can't do that. Oh boy, but I mean, I'm not going to stop you from playing an evil bastard, but just don't do that in my games, okay? And then form and creation. Willpower cost of all those abilities decreases by 4, and the creation out of nothing feature now allows you to create as much amount as the full area you can manipulate instead of half. Really like this one. I love the flavor, I love the creative power that it gives you. Just a very big fan of this one. Alright, then the main sub-archetype I did all of this for the builder. So you have one sub-archetype specifically for base building and stuff. Of course, they get the obvious, they need half as many materials to build an upgrade ability, but they also only need 1/10 of the time. So they are way faster than the normal, which allows you to really build up a base far quicker, which that's one thing that really slows you down with building yeah, for building buildings and base elements and so on. It takes a lot of time, but not with the builder. And also, whenever you build a building of modest quality, it's automatically upgraded to normal. So that's also nice. And if there's already a modest building, you can upgrade it just with 10 minutes work. Imagine just being in a poor village and you give me 5 hours and everything is with no additional cost. It's just upgraded and decent. That would be kind of wholesome, right? Then I like this one, pack it up. This allows you to make a building transportable, turning it into an item that has a weight of 6, and which you can unfold and pack up again when you take 10 minutes to do so. So you want a nice place to sleep in for the group? Pack up a whole house. Or maybe a kitchen, or a crafting station, or maybe even a guard tower to if you're in a dangerous area and stuff. Expensive taste tier 3 is oops, yep, I did not want to click on you. No, what happened? Sorry, yeah. It's basically an upgrade version of the whole normal instead of modest. Now everything is automatically expensive. For context, 3 tiers of quality for buildings are modest, normal, expensive, and luxurious. Then tier 6, instant building. Now your transportable buildings can be set up with just one action, 3 action points. So, you need a guard tower in the middle of combat, boom, instant guard tower. And yes, we can, which yes is a reference to Bob the Builder. Now, basically, everything you build is automatically luxurious. So, yes. And remember, you can make a luxurious quality building as fast and with the same amount of materials you would need for a modest one. And luxurious buildings are expensive, but usually also very powerful. And finally, probably the funniest new sub-archetype for cunning. The Financier. basically the sleazy banker type. I mean, it doesn't have to. It could also be a cleric that worships a god of money, somebody like Hades or stuff, right? Or it could be a money wizard or something. But what does he do? Basically, whenever you get the feature for the first time, you get a boatload of money. Basically, you're a rich guy. And you know it. And afterwards, whenever an ally within 30 meters finds money, you get 10% additional of that money. It's kind of a luck feature. The idea of you finding more money out there. Similar to the feature from the Imperials in Skyrim or I think at least in the Elder Scrolls, where they have the ability to find more money out in the world. This was what inspired this feature. Also, creators can only trigger this feature once. Or, yes. This basically prevents just some sort of cheesiness where an ally puts the money in the ground, looks away, and other ally, oh, I found these credits plus 10%, and then oops, I dropped them, turns around the other, oh, I found money again, right? Just infinite money generation with that. This last line is to prevent that. But speaking of infinite money, interest. Whenever you take a full rest, you get 50 times your tier as credits for free. Just passive income. So this sub-archetype is really about if you want money, this is the guy for you. Then the next one, loan. For those who've seen it in the preview, I've changed it a bit. The one in the preview was a bit more complicated, prone to abuse. Now, basically, you can get 5 days worth of your interests immediately as an action, but your interest feature stops working for 7 days then. So that basically you exchange instant money for 2/7 of the money you would generate in a week. Then high risk investment. Whenever you trigger your investment, you can roll a d4. On a 1, you do not gain anything. On a 4, you get 50%. So on average, it's still a boost. But yeah, and I specifically chose those numbers because they're easier to calculate, right? 10%, just remove the lowest number and not number, digit, yeah. Remove the lowest digits, and boom, you've got 10%. And or move the comma. Oh, sorry, right? Only Germans use comma there. The rest of the world uses a dot to, yeah, move the dot to the left one. And 50% is also relatively easy to have a value. Yeah. Then early retirement drastically increases the money you get from interest. So you basically don't have to do nothing. You can live a luxurious life without having to do any sort of work. I joked about this being capitalism, the sub-archetype, but yeah. I think it does fill an important niche, right? The one who's all about the money. Something that did not exist earlier. So I'm happy that I came up with the idea. Then, right. The next sub-archetype is for the unarmed archetype. And the one problem with this one, I have no name for it yet. The idea behind it, that's a rapid-fire pressure point type fighter. Kind of like Neji from Naruto or Ty Lee? Or what was her name again from Avatar The Last Airbender? The girl that could just rapidly hit pressure points and disable your bending capabilities. That person. And yes, this is all about just, it's kind of a physical version of the sorcerer. For context, in my system, the sorcerer is a combo caster, which specializes in blasting many different types of ability in the same turn. And this archetypes allow you to blast a lot of maneuver abilities. The first feature, building pressure, allows you, if you use a maneuver ability on a weapon attack, to make a second attack with your attack or flash attack weapons, which deals half damage. But you must use a maneuver ability on that additional weapon attack. So, so that helps you because when you're still level 1, you usually only get one attack unless you have multi-wielder and ability to weapons. So this helps you with actually feeling like comboing in the first combat without forcing you to wield 2 weapons. Later on, concentrated flow is all about reducing the willpower cost of your maneuver abilities for every maneuver ability you already used on that turn. So yeah, that makes it easier to make one after the other, right? And also a reason why I designed it that way. If you look at the sorcerer, alright, let's open up the sorcerer. Yep, yeah, list archetype, mental. Sorcerer, here we go. They get the ability to upcast every ability for free. But this sub-archetype reduces the cost, which is usually also a design change. And a caster type character usually profits far more from upcasting abilities, because upcasting gives you far more damage than upcasting a maneuver. But and a martial character has the problem that they don't have that much willpower, so they profit far more of reducing the cost of maneuver abilities, so they can use more. Yeah. Then in tier 3, the oh yeah, right. Now your building pressure additional attack deals full damage instead of half damage, so more damage for you. Pressure points is interesting. If you hit with both the attack that triggered build pressure and the attack it generates, you can force the enemy to make a strength or will defense roll. And if they fail, they are restrained for 1 turn. Which is pretty powerful. But you do get it at level 9, so rather late. And you need to hit both attacks. So, that will cost you willpower. So it's not as spammable and not as reliable. But if it triggers, it's pretty strong. And finally, 1000 Stink Fist. Now, building pressure, you can only trigger it once per turn. With this, you can trigger it a number of times equal to your tier per turn, which is huge. Now, at tier 5, of course, that means you can use it 5 times. You have 5 normal attacks, use a maneuver ability on each of them. Now you get 5 additional attacks. Of course, it's going to cost you a lot of willpower, but concentrated flow will help you with that. And yeah, you know what? I think I should nerf concentrated ability, because especially in later game, that can be very powerful. I think I'm going to cap the reduction at 3. Or use on this. Yes, this feature cannot reduce the VP cost by more than 3. I think this is more balanced. Otherwise, it eventually just gives you a ton of very powerful, very upcasted abilities for free, which I guess would be too powerful. Alright, those are all things that I designed so far. And sorry, I'm feeling that my how do you say it? Stimmbänder. Let's just look it up. My vocal cords. Yeah, right. My vocal cords. No. I think you can hear it, and I mean, you hear, so that I'm starting coughing more. Yeah, sorry, just still a bit weak from the whole being sick thing. And talking starts to feel not, not very nice. But yeah, it might be a short stream. But thanks for everybody who joined or watching in the future. Remember, next month, 6th of January, there will be another Ishanekon arena. This time you will be fighting robots. Your characters will be level 2, so it's sorry. It's beginner friendly. Anyone who wants to join, feel free to join as a player. I'm happy to help you create characters and stuff, and I'm looking forward to that one. Hopefully, my vocal cords don't give up on me that quickly. I'll be fine until then, hopefully. Anyway, have a nice weekend, and see you everybody next week. Bye.